Hello, Rama Rama Pupodu. Hope all are in good health, feeling very peaceful, relaxed, and having a happy time always. Now let's continue with chapter 3 Kudlu, Kadri Hill. Pranayama. Kudlu is a countryside 2 miles to the north of Kasaragod. Ramdas was lodged in a tiled house of 3 rooms at the slope of a valley, above which was an extensive uninhabited plateau, green with the verdure and shrubs. At the foot of the house was a shallow exhaution, from one side of which was flowing down a narrow jet of pure, sparkling water, supplied by a hidden spring. Majestic silence reigned over the valley. It was a fit abode for undisturbed meditation. God willed that Ramdas should live in such a place. In right earnest, Ramdas started the practice of Pranayama. For long hours he would sit up for the exercise. He became, in regard of food, highly eccentric. The supplies came from Anand Rao, who was visiting him every morning to look after his needs. His pure love made him bear with remarkable patience Ramdas' innumerable freaks and fancies in the matter of diet. He changed his diet from day to day, from one thing to another, and at last, going for some days on mere water fast, then he would again revert to the usual meals. These experiments in diet, coupled with incessant practice of pranayama, reduced his body and gradually weakened it. The mind lapsed into a state of perfect listlessness and torpor. It seemed to have descended into the very depths of inexpressible stillness and silence. On and on the practice continued. The utterance of the mantram stopped entirely. All the hours of the day and night were devoted almost without break for control of breath. At times, due to over-exhaustion, he would drop down on an emaciated and limp figure. The Raja Yogi who initiated him came on a visit. He watched the keen struggle through which he was passing and encouraged him on. He advised Ramdas to feed the body properly. One thing, however, became evident to Ramdas. This exercise was dealing a death blow to memory, reason, and subtler emotions of the heart. The mind became blank and arid. Inactivity and silence were the result. It was the will of the Lord that Ramdas should also gain this experience of pranayama, a mode of mind control prescribed by the great sage Patanjali. This discipline forms a part of Ashtanga Yoga as taught by the sage. It is incumbent on the aspirant that he should follow all the 8 rules of the yoga together, of which asana and pranayama are 2. Brahmacharya or continuance is held to be absolutely necessary, as also a watchful guidance from an experienced teacher of yoga. The path is not meant for all people. Householders engaged in the affairs of life will do well to avoid it, for failure in observance of the rules of this yoga is likely to cause derangement of the brain and other diseases. For the householder, the most suitable discipline for the concentration of mind is repetition of the divine name and devotional music. In other words, the path of bhakti or devotion. The practice of pranayama continued unabated for a month, and then Ramdas gave it up. The usual utterance of the mantram became once more an automatic function of the tongue. Activity returned, and he took long walks on the meadow both in the morning and evening. He wandered aimlessly. The extensive view of the green vegetation all around absorbed him. He witnessed his own loneliness, his mind resting on the bosom of the motionless spirit of tranquility. The world about him looked like a vast, glistening canvas on which pictures of variegated tints were laid by a master artist. The green earth below and the blue expanse above were bathed in the bright glory of the sun. In the course of his rambles, he was accosted by a Muslim. "Why do you come near our habitation? Our children get frightened on seeing you. Would it not be better for you to adhere to your solitary retreat?" Ramdas heard and passed him. On another occasion, he unconsciously directed his steps towards the seaside, which lay about a mile and a half from the retreat. He had to pass through a small village peopled by Muslims. When he was walking along one of the streets, a number of Muslim boys clustered round him and stopped his progress. They began to pat on his head, pull his ears and nose, make faces at and dance round him. He liked the fun and also danced in wild delight with them. All the while, some Muslim women were observing the scene from distance. Thinking that the boys were harassing Ramdas, they rushed forward and drove them away. He continued his stroll to the seashore. He sat on the sands, looking on the giant waves rolling noisily and lashing against the rocks on the shore. He remained for a time in a state of complete abstraction as his eyes swept on the limitless azure sheet of water before him. Then he retraced his steps to his abode. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Puppoda.